we sometimes bring ourselves down, or we tell ourselves we can't do things because that's like what we're taught to do, I think. Because I feel like if somebody was born into a world where there simply was nobody else, I think maybe this person would think that they could literally do anything because no one's telling them what they can and can't do. And I think a lot of what makes people decide not to do things is their fear of judgment from other people. And I think without this judgment, without other people's influences, really your mind is simply a blank slate, right? You could make yourself think you could do anything you want.
I think everybody is telling them to be their own worst enemy. I think that we've been conditioned oftentimes to second guess ourselves or to look down on ourselves. And so I think that it's important to see people learning to be friends with themselves again.
Well, because they feel, I mean, they underestimate themselves. They fail to take this journey of 1,000 hours with a single step. So in that sense, they are the enemy of themselves by putting this barricade in front of them and saying that this insurmountable task cannot be scaled.
I think a lot of it comes down just to insecurity, and people are very, I guess, ashamed to be themselves, and they get upset when they see people better than them. So naturally, if you're very insecure and you hate to see people doing better than you, being happier than you, you're just it's going to turn in on yourself, and you're going to start perhaps hating everyone, but also hating yourself at the same time.
Again, it has a lot to do with, knowing yourself. I think a lot of people do have a hard time figuring out. They have an idea of who they're supposed to be, based on usually misleading cues and information. These days, social media, what their friends are like, or what they see influencers being like, and then they try to emulate that because they think that's who they're supposed to be. And then it never goes well.
I think there's two things. I think that people fear the unknown, and people fear doing things they haven't done before. And I also think that people sometimes struggle to forgive themselves. And so they feel guilt, and that guilt prevents them from healing and from going down the path that would be right for them.
Because people cannot accept failure and they can't accept flaws in themselves, and they constantly think or imagine themselves to be perfect, which they're not in most cases.
Probably they don't know that they are. I think we limit ourselves because of lack of confidence, or we underestimate ourselves. And I think that's the largest barrier. Like you said, you have the power to make a decision. You have the power to change your life right now. What it takes is that drive and that determination to do so. And I think because of lack of confidence, most people, or the people who hold themselves back, are lacking in that.
Yeah, because they didn't get enough support when they were a kid to be self-confident and humble and a part of the solution and not part of the problem. So when they grow up, they overcompensate by
Sorry. Are you talking to me? Let's keep us focused on yourself.
You know what? I feel like this whole thing is a bit way too personal, actually. It's like this feels like therapy and not debating it.
Poor toilet training, perhaps. I don't know, some sort of psychological bent that they have. But I think that can be said for everybody.
Because they're at a differentiation within themselves. They don't know how to accept themselves, whether it be their sexual orientation, whether it be, if they're ashamed of their race or their skin tone, whether it be like their social class and where they're in, that puts a lot of suppression into one's mental states.
People stand in their own way because they develop a self-image at a very early age. And if I can get even more psychological about it, a deep paradigm about themselves and what they can accomplish. And that becomes deep in their body. It gets into their subconscious. And when it's deeply in your subconscious, it doesn't matter how hard you try on a conscious level, you can't overcome it. And this is why people that try to lose the weight and then gain it back 6 months later, because their subconscious has a self-image deeply rooted. And that self-image always wins. So for people that want to accomplish things in the world, and they go at it just from the conscious level, they work hard, they do this, they do that, they're machines, but they're subconscious down here.
I think with intelligence comes problems, insecurities, overthinking, irrational fears, all of that. I used to have a parrot. Parrots are very, very smart, but they're also prone to, like, self-mutilation. My parrot used to pluck his feathers. They don't know why. I think that's a consequence of intelligence.
People are sabotaging themselves because they don't really want to be successful.
So they're scared of failure, so they don't allow themselves to try.
I think some people are also scared of success, because success may involve working harder, may involve focusing on working harder, may involve cutting certain things out of your life in order to focus on other things. Being successful may mean having to be a different person than you've been comfortable being.